The deadly flooding in Texas is only the latest news story that may have left kids with questions and parents wondering, how do I talk about this? Research shows that children who see or hear about disasters are more likely to show a whole range of symptoms: fear, worry, preoccupation, even trouble sleeping. And by the way, even if the kids don't see the coverage of these tragedies at home, 40% of 8 to 12-year-olds, well, they're on social media and they may see videos or pictures there. So how can parents help their kids if they're worried that the kids might have seen or heard about some of these stories and they're feeling anxious or confused or bewildered about it? For some answers, we're joined by psychologist Dr. Cheryl Ziegler. She's the author of The Crucial Years, The Essential Guide to Mental Health and Modern Puberty in Middle Childhood. Dr. Ziegler, thank you very much for being here. So in your experience, how aware are kids about these big, terrible news stories that roll along?
They're really quite aware. I think much more than people realize. So, and even if your kid doesn't come home and tell you, if you just say to them, what are some things you guys were talking about today on the playground or anything? Sometimes they'll even say it casually. And you'll think, well, they don't seem too upset about this. And then sometimes they're very upset and they tell you. But like you said, they're on social media, they're on playgrounds with other kids. Kids are pretty aware, much more than people think.
But it's so hard to get any information out of kids after school. How do you know if there's something that they've seen that might be affecting them?
It was sort of like some of those symptoms we were talking about. You always want to look for what we call disturbance in sleep, mood, appetite, and questions. So they might be saying things like, do you know, are grandma and grandpa safe? Or what would happen if? And they start giving you these scenarios that they're thinking of. So they might not directly say, let's say something like flooding. They might not say, are we at risk of a flood? But they might just say things like, are we safe? Are you going to be okay? So the anxiety comes out sometimes in just really questioning safety issues.
So short of saying, that's life, kid, bad things happen sometimes to good people, how do you broach these subjects?
So I think one of the things you say is, there are good people doing good work every day. We don't even see them all that are trying to keep us safe. And me as your parent, every day, I'm also always thinking about your safety. And then sometimes they might make it bigger and say, well, what if there's a hurricane? There's wildfires, hurricanes, flooding are things that are on kids' minds. And so you just say, that's why we really pay attention when they give us directions and rules every day. I'm thinking about, that's why we wear car seats. So you start even giving them other examples of things that we do for safety so that they're reminded, oh yeah, there's a purpose. Because you get in a car and you put a seatbelt on, you don't even think about it. Talk to them about those things. They transfer over.
Oh, that's smart. You said that you've had a number of families reaching out because their kids are afraid to go to camp, of course, after the horrific things that happened with that flooding in Texas. What do you tell those families? What do you tell those kids?
Yeah, last week alone, I saw 3 kids in addition to my normal schedule because they were getting ready to go to camp in the next week or two, and they were scared. So I said very similar things
because
to what I said.
Because of the Texas news in particular?
Yes.
Wow.
So what happens is, in the beginning of summer, late spring, there are kids who are excited for camp, but they're also very nervous. There's separation anxiety. They're scared. They're worried. And so that's normal for me to kind of walk things through with the kids. So when they came in and they were like, but what if? And, I can't guarantee them safety, right? And so what I said was, let's talk about where you're going to be. Let's talk about what could happen. So give them some space. I gave them space to air out their concerns and fears, because sometimes they're not what we think. They might not even be that logical. And then we kind of walked through safety and looking for the helpers and listening. And honestly, it was helpful, and maybe it was the practical tips or not, but I think it was also just the space to air it out. And I wasn't invalidating them by saying the chances of that happening are really small. This was a 1 in 100-year tragedy. None of that, because that's invalidating.
It's such an interesting, I love that your book is on the middle years because they are particular. Because like with a 4-year-old and 6-year-old, I'm trying to teach them fear, like stop the scooter at the corner or you will be gone forever. And then with the older kids, like the 16-year-old, I'm also trying to teach him fear, like that cliff jump might be fun looking, but there could be rocks down there.
Yes.
But then the middle years, they are dealing with it. They have the fear, and you've got to talk about it. So it's important.
Absolutely. And so it's interesting, in the middle years, actually, our job is to help them take risks. So it's exactly what you're saying. It's like a balance. Like, they have to take the risk.
Guardrails.
Yes, but with guardrails.
Thank you, Dr. Ziegler. Always love having you here. Thank you so much.